on the canals here in Berlin. Like
Live streaming is on.
All the canals are frozen. We're like walking for like 2 hours on the canals. Like all these people with ice skates just flying by, like kids with sleighs, people sliding around. It's super gorgeous.
In Berlin?
In Berlin, yeah, it's wild. I mean, I'm here years. I've never seen this before.
Yesterday I got a sunburn.
Wow, nice.
Be careful.
Wow, outside, that must be nice.
You also, like, you left. You could have stayed.
I know. It was complicated.
It was complicated. So I hope everybody's doing well. Hello, Griff. We had a little side chat going. Let's not do that, by the way. Like with James and Matteo. I was just on like a walk in the woods, so I did not follow the last hour. And so we should always talk in Giveth to Dev.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's certain circumstances where I don't want to talk in Giveth to Dev, and it's not for lack of transparency. It's for like, it's just like, I want to say being professional, you know, like I don't want to like wash my laundry in public. Like when we have a live website that's got a live bug in it, like I don't really want people to know that.
But then, yeah, that's, don't worry. Like it's not only you who like is developing on this, so it's not only it's usually not your fault, but like a collective thing. And I think this is very fine. Like we always did it in the open, and it's okay to be wrong sometimes and vulnerable, and that's why we didn't announce it, right? Like we're dissuading people to use it. Actually, we just put it there.
All right, Daddy.
That's
I have a strong preference for doing everything in public for sure, right? Like there's definitely circumstances where I think we need a private chat, and I've considered like asking if we should open up like I don't know, like a war room or a private channel or something, because there's certain things that I don't want to talk about in public that are not to do with the end variable channel, which is basically for sharing environmental variables, and like it's more difficult to find them when we are chatting in there. Anyway, I take your point. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, there is circumstances where I feel like we should be able to speak in private, and I would prefer that. But
there is a different reason as well. Like, you never know who is reading. So sometimes, and it happened in the past, like really crazy people just browse through the chat, like really knowledgeable other developers, and you never know who comes up with the solution. For example, Amin wasn't a part of the convo. Like maybe he knows something we don't, right? Just reading through what we have there.
Yeah. Again, I have a preference for discussing everything in public, and I think there's circumstances when I would like to be able to talk in private. Like in this case, like I was not going to be online today, so it was a question of like I thought either you, me, or Matteo were going to be fixing this, and it was just me laying down what I will do, like when I have a chance to look at this, essentially, in case anyone else picks it up.
It would be good to give a rundown, actually, of what we're talking about, so everybody knows.
So basically, Marco posted in the Discord that he tried to make a donation and it didn't show up, essentially. So it's a bug. And so I had checked the database yesterday and realized that there's been no donations, actually, which means that it's potentially untested, which means that potentially people have been trying to make donations and it hasn't been working at all. So for me, I've been super keen to do some testing. Like I had assumed that had been done already, basically, which was a mistake on my part. I since did the test today and it did work for me. So it seems like we have some kind of edge case here or some kind of something. I don't know. Like my donation, I was logged in with one MetaMask account, made another donation with a different MetaMask account. You need to get clarity from Marco what his situation was, like what was he logged in as, etc. But essentially, live is not working, and yeah, that's the story basically.
I want to note that the donation went through, but that we are not tracking it in our database. So thank you, Marco. He donated something to my campaign, and the funds arrived in my wallet. So I can at least say that.
Sweet, you deserve it, brother. So that's it. Yeah. I mean, otherwise, I guess we just need to figure out what the problem is. And it's a little bit awkward, like on testing live. Like, I mean, I ran a test there now, and so I paid $5. I gave $5 to Yukai, I believe. But then I paid something like $12 in gas, right? So I don't know. Like, we need to figure out how we're going to do this, basically. Like, we'll probably quite soon figure out how to test in live, but as of now, it's not totally clear to me how we can do this. But in general, we need to improve our logging so that we can, figure this shit out, basically, when shit goes wrong. So, yeah, that's the story.
Well, yeah,
Go ahead, Kai.
Go ahead, Matteo. I wanted to give it to you next.
Okay. No, I wanted to say that what I found on the save donation mutation isn't quite what provoked the error to Marco, I still believe that it should be fixed or somehow arranged, because I believe that eventually if the Federer's request fails, like just happened to me like an hour ago, it will not save the donation just because it couldn't fetch a USD value to it. So maybe there is still some space for improvement in that mutation, because essentially if we get a hash that necessarily needs to be saved, so it doesn't have to be dependent on external value. So even though I'm not necessarily saying that that was what happened with Marco's donation, but it could happen anytime. So I would like to revise that mutation, that GraphQL query that we are making for saving the donation.
Cool. It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. All right. Any other updates?
Yeah, other than that, we're live, no? It's Valentine's Day. That was the aim. We fixed it today, and then like we're all good to go, basically. So that's exciting news.
Willie's on the call. We wrote this in chat, but you probably noticed we all followed your great presentation. It was awesome. Some people were crying. It was really, really nice to see. You gave so much love over the airwaves. Almost couldn't hold it. Our hearts exploded there that day. Thank you, Willie.
Thanks, Kai. Thank you all. Yeah. It's testament to all the great work that you guys have done over the past year. So yeah, the praise, I'm glad it was heartfelt, because it really came straight from the heart. And yeah, I was really excited to be able to share all the beautiful stuff that we built. So hopefully the first of many cool presentations for Giveth to come.
Cool. All right. What should we do? Should we look at the board?
Yep. I wanted to talk before doing that. I've been making some changes. Everything that is latest is currently in the develop branch, but I wanted to ask what should be the flow that we will be working on. Like, I made some updates. I upload them to the develop branch. So everything needs to go there. When do we decide to update staying? And of course, when do we decide to move it to live? I guess we should discuss what the rules are going to be for that to happen.
So I think that it's if it's building fine, if you have no errors on develop, and we finish a feature or with fixes, it should be even quicker. But I think we can very quickly go to develop from to staging from develop. Like that's one thing we can talk about here. I posted this in Giveth Dev, but we have 3 environments now: the develop, staging, and live environment. And basically, this is the flow. The dev environment is for the developers to push their changes, see if it builds, stuff like that. And if it works, we can merge it to staging. So this is where testing should happen, user testing, because as noted, live is a bit, expensive to test, so we don't want that. And develop might be too soon to test. Like, yeah. If you want, you should merge it for the sake of software.
I have a strong opinion on this. Like, I mean, ultimately, I said this last time also, like, we don't have a strong set of automated tests in place that we can very easily, like, and cheaply, like, be sure that we haven't broken something, which means that we're, like, super dependent on our testing to make sure of this. And it means that it makes sense to me that we batch putting things live. So, like, we integrate together on dev, like you develop locally, I develop locally, we all develop locally. Then we integrate it together on dev and make sure that there's no integration issues. And then when we are ready that this group of changes is going to go live, at that point, it goes to staging. At that point, it's fully tested. At that point, we're confident. At that point, it goes live, right? So I think for me, I'm not saying that we necessarily have to switch from Kanban to sprints, but like we probably at the very least should get into the psychology of like a sprint go live mindset. You know what I mean? That like we are going live in 2 weeks or something, or 1 week or whatever it is, but that like we can still work in a Kanban fashion or whatever. But ultimately, unless we have unless we have a pretty high test coverage, I think this is the way we should do it, basically.
With tests, it's also a question of who can even write those tests, like from a knowledge standpoint, from a like experience standpoint. I know that you were working on SSR, but if you feel confident writing those tests, it might be a good idea to put those forward and maybe just work on writing those tests for a while.
Yeah, I mean, like writing tests is really not hard, huh? I mean, like anyone could do it. Anyone can learn how to do it, and it would be fun. It's as fun as programming. Actually, all it's doing is programming. It's really just taking a programming approach to writing tests. Seriously, it's very, very satisfying. It's like dopamine, ching, 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 green tick, and like the thing is that like there is an effort involved in not only developing them but maintaining them, right? Which means that like we can build a set of tests that works for our UI now that automates the testing. And as soon as we change something in the flow, we have to change the tests again, right? So there's this continual maintenance cost on top of that. And I think for this reason, like we can quite easily justify not writing the tests right now, right? I think like for the time being, like we should like bed down and like really become happy with what we have in terms of the flow. Be clear about what we're going to do next, like in our next sprint or whatever like this. And at that point, we can look at like writing tests or whatever, right? I mean, we can still like test like granular components, like unit testing and things like this. And there's certain things that will lend itself towards that more easily, right? Like it's the same when we're developing things, right? Like if, for example, like we are, when we're developing create project, for example, it's really annoying that you have to like write in the title, click next, write in the description, click next, write in all of this stuff. Like it's really like manual and time consuming and laborious and things like this. Like we may find like for us to develop that, it's way faster, like to automate that in some way, right? So we should keep our eyes open for opportunities like this. Like for sure, we should not be afraid or think it's difficult to write tests because it's just probably a question of spending a couple of hours watching some videos on YouTube about the latest, greatest testing tool that's out there for React or whatever like this. And yeah, I mean, I think my recommendation is that like in the short term, like let's go about it like this way, that we do a release like every 2 weeks or something like this, that we have a clear set, a clear milestone with what we're going to put into this, that we agree beforehand, we develop this, we freeze it on a Wednesday, we test till Sunday, and we go live on Tuesday or something like this, right?
Should we also consider versioning standard? Like, let's say that the version that is currently today is 0.1 or 1.0 or whatever, and then move on every 2 weeks to every version that we're releasing with a number, just for making it more organized.
Okay, so what do you mean? Like, why would we do this? What does it give us?
I don't know, maybe handling more of a better label to every release that we are making every 2 weeks or so. So if something breaks, we can move on to another version. And
Okay, so
in
like
a more,
tagging it, you mean, or something like this?
yeah,
Yeah.
tagging the releases.
Yeah, let's do that for sure.
I also think you can just decide those things, James. I think you should give the direction. As you're like coming from your role, I think it's totally cool if you say, hey, we do this now, and then we do this. And because I think there is the huge value in one person deciding what's going on at any given point. And that should be the lead dev classically. And we're always here for feedback, and you can ask us, of course, if you're not sure or if you want like more input. But I think it might be better to just like give a direction.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm happy to do that, but I think it's also unnecessary. Like, I'm happy to just give my opinion, like sometimes more strongly, sometimes less strongly, but ultimately we decide together, right? Like, that's the way it should be, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, thank you anyway. That's nice. And we need to probably start thinking about this kind of stuff more now that we're live, right? Because we can't really afford, we're going to have live users and live cases, and people put effort into putting this stuff on there. So yeah, I have been thinking about it now. It's like, now what, right? Like, I think for me, we probably want to like not introduce too much new functionality too quickly. Like, we really want to like spend the time doing all the things that skipped over quickly. Like, as Matteo said, like this mutation around save donation, like when things go wrong and we have errors, do we have the logging in place that can help us debug this effectively to figure out what happened? Not exactly, right? Like, we kind of we cut some corners in order to get out there live, but I think there's definitely some refactoring needed. Like, we may write some tests as we do that, but like, let's spend the next couple of weeks just like really becoming confident like in our processes for debugging, like maybe adding some easy functionality like around like visual stuff. I haven't looked at what Marco has added right now. Maybe some fiat onboarding, like maybe some refactoring, like bedding it down, like becoming more confident in what we have, and then like let the users start coming in and like really go from there, basically. So I would say like we should probably do another 2-week sprint now. I would say like it's probably a good time to like say, all right, what are we going to do next? Like, when are we going to release our next milestone? And yeah, figure out our processes, like get them in place, firm them up, and do it like this, basically.
All right. All right.
I can give a quick update on my side anyway. So yeah, I spent the last few days working on the server side rendering, which I finally got done, which I'm extremely happy about because it was a real pain in the ass, basically. So that's on dev right now. Like, that should make the site way more performant. Like Matteo pointed out, it will unblock some SEO functionality that we put off. I basically had to really get a deeper understanding of how Gatsby works, especially like the data aspect of it. So a lot of it has been completely rewritten in terms of how we access data, how we pull data from the GraphQL server and get that into Gatsby, etc. I learned a lot in the meantime. It was sometimes painful, but I'm pretty happy with what we have. So right now, like if a build takes place, it'll pull the project data out of the database and it will generate those pages as static HTML, right? And then if somebody after that then creates a new project that has not been rendered and turned into HTML yet, it will serve that as client-side rendered, basically. So we get the best of both worlds, essentially. It's not like I also built something in place so that like whenever a project is added, depending on a flag in the environmental variables, we can trigger a rebuild in Netlify. Like, that's why I needed dev, because I haven't really fully tested that and how it works exactly. And I'm not sure that we want to trigger a rebuild every time we add a new project. because what's that going to end up being like? Like maybe we just want to do that like 4 times a day or something, or every hour. I don't know. We need to figure that out. Basically, like try some stuff, see what the performance is like, what does it cost us, etc., etc. I haven't got to the end of thinking all of it through. So, for example, if a project exists already and it's been turned into HTML, and then someone goes in there and edits that project, they change the description, it's still going to show the static HTML page, not the client side, right? So I think in terms of an edit to information, we might need to trigger a rebuild, or we need to somehow track this in local storage and send them to the, like, I don't know. There could be some nitty little details in there, basically, that needs to be resolved. But ultimately, that's in place now. So that's quite a major change, I would say. If there's changes, and I don't think we should do it this way. Like, I think like if there's something that we want to put live that doesn't go live with the server-side rendering, then we could do that by going straight to staging. But I still think like we should essentially lay out a 2-week sprint from now and say everything that's going in is going in 2 weeks, and like only live fixes go through staging, right? And that could very well happen that we have bugs that we need to fix like on live now, right? So I think it's probably, yeah, again, like let's build out a sprint for 2 weeks. Let's develop it on dev. Let's release it in 2 weeks, and like let's continue to test live, and any bugs that needs to be fixed, fix them via staging or whatever, I would say.
So we should construct a sprint from scratch now, and then over the days like trickle in what is, like, if we have over a room, we trickle in those other things that are now marked as fast follow.
Yeah, I believe so. So how do you think is the best way? I mean, if everyone agrees with that, I mean, and there is no objections, then how should we go about deciding what goes in next? Sorry,
go ahead.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're all rallying around doing kind of 2-week sprint development cycles going forward, and I think that's smart. I totally hear the benefits of doing it. The downsides though, so in the meantime, like for example, I was just looking at dev and staging, and I see, as one example, Mateo's got the update in there for improving the MetaMask signing. Right now, like one of the reasons I'm reluctant to donate in prod on Giveth.io with MetaMask is that it tells me that, be careful using this signature with this site, because I don't even know exactly what the risk is, but it's a really scary warning that I'm sure you guys have all seen. Mateo's got that fixed in at least dev. So do we have to wait 2 weeks to get that fix out there, or can we, especially when it comes to bug fixes and while we're in the soft launch mode, does it make sense to potentially push these bug fixes out as soon as they're ready to go once we have some level of testing and staging?
that might make sense, yeah.
That's also how I understood it. Like, these sprints are for features, and whatever happens as like bugs should be immediately escalated, depending on severity, I guess. But even like low severity ones, like one link not working is pretty shitty. So you kind of want to push it immediately to as soon as you can to live, because a broken link is just not good. Although it's like, yeah, what will happen? Users are dissatisfied. Whenever the users are dissatisfied or confused, it's not good.
Okay, like, so it sounds like we should define like what is urgent, like, and what is a feature, like, right? I mean, like, maybe that's a good way to think about it, right? That like in the next 2-week cycle, we will do features that will go to dev, and urgent bug fixes and or underpants sticking out goes via staging or something. So maybe we just need to like have some sort of form of flagging of what is urgent, what is not, and a way of monitoring and tracking this in GitHub, right? Like maybe it's labels, or maybe it's something else.
So I think we should do it like this, or I mean, they're not. Let me go back one thing. There are not so many layers in GitHub, but there are some. So these, so I guess I would go with a milestone. I would open a new milestone and define features here and give it a title. And oops, right? Because then I can set a date here, and that's the main difference for me between milestones and other things. Like there's one thing that's called a release, and the release is actually grouping epics and milestones together. So I think after those, like once a milestone is fulfilled, it might get into a release. I'm a bit shaky on that one. So I'm not sure how to bring everything together, but I'm quite confident that we can do these feature sprints nicely with a milestone.
Yeah.
And maybe for the fixes, we should stick with issues for now, and maybe work with there are flags for severity and labels for, like, if it's a bug, should always get a bug label, and everything with the bug label should move faster through the lanes than the rest. And I guess it would be a good thing to put features out of issues for now, right?
So in that case, if I have a pull request that has many bugs fixed, should the pull request go directly to live, or should follow the same flow as it's supposed? Let's say develop, stay in, and then live.
I think it comes down to what James said with the testing. Like as long there is no unit tests and other tests, we should probably definitely go with the flow that we have set, so humans can test it on staging.
Yeah.
And staging seems to be our most stable deployment. I think we have dev fixed now, but because it will contain newer changes, it might break easier. But I really feel that staging is the most stable deployment right now.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, I mean, all right. I think in general, like, I think 2-week cycles with a separate channel for urgent hot fixes is good, right? Like, if we say that like 2 weeks is too long to wait for some issues, such as the message in MetaMask, as Willie was saying, like, I mean, just because a 2-week sprint is a good idea, it doesn't mean that we have to do that, right? Like, I mean, we just literally went live. So, I mean, maybe it does make more sense to do a 1-week sprint or something now. Or how urgent do you think this is, Willie? Like, do you think this is something that we really need to fix ASAP, or is it something that we could do in a week? Or what do you think about that?
I like, if we can figure out a way to have I really like the idea of having feature sprints be every 2 weeks. I think is a good amount of time, but not having those 2-week sprints hold back these urgent bug fixes. If we could figure out a way to do that,
right,
that would certainly be ideal.
Okay.
And we can, especially if we have these bug fixes going out one at a time, like small changes instead of a bunch of bug fixes bundled up together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, so I mean, to me that sounds good then, right? Like, we have our 2-week cycle on going via dev to staging. Like, the milestone is in 2 weeks, right? And then maybe for like hot fixes, like we have options there, right? Like, we could literally put them live ASAP, or we can say like we're doing a hotfix release on Friday or something like that.
It really depends on what the fix is, I guess. Like, there are fixes where we know, okay, this is working. We don't even have to test it. Like, I found the bug there. But if it's like, if it's a chain of things and if there's something we're unsure about, we should be very strict with our releases, like with like testing and like putting it from deployment to deployment and escalating that way. But if it's quicker, like I said, a broken link, we can immediately.
Right.
I like that. I don't think we should. If we have these bugs fixed, I'd love to get the fixes out ASAP. I think the blocker there should just be testing, making sure that a human goes through and staging and test it.
Right.
And what is our ability to roll back on that note? Like, let's say that we do accidentally push out a breaking change to prod. How quickly and how easily can we roll back to the previous stable version?
It depends a bit. If there was work done on the back end and the front end, it becomes a bit more complicated. But if it's just on one of these, it's very easy actually, because we just have to go back in the history of GitHub, and we basically delete everything after. And we still have it saved in other ways, like on somebody's local, or we can save it on a different branch, even make a new branch and roll that back. So there are some options here, and it's very easy and quick. So we should never fear of going back, especially on the live.
Totally.
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning a better labeling on the releases, because if something like that happens, you just go back to established release that we were sure it was everything working.
Yeah. So maybe we should like go through what we have in terms of new functionality or issues, like, and start labeling them for like whether they're like urgent hotfix or not, and then we can like really have a better, more informed idea of like how we will deal with this. Like, will we do like a few days of like fixing things and then a deployment, or will we do them one at a time, or how to do it?
Okay. I think we have a, let me see, do we have a feature label? We should have one. So we don't, right?
In the majority of issues that are in progress assigned to me and they are done, I got a message because I didn't want to move them to staging if they are not in staging. So most of them are done, but no, they are not in the staging. They are in dev. That's what I try to say.
I also want to propose to put everything that is not dev related or purely dev related in its, like, I want to have a content lane or whatever you call it, like non-developer lane. So we're not, because I see that there's so much like content issues here that are just clogging up the view.
I tried twice to go through the new issues column and it just killed me. Like, there was all kinds of stuff in there that it's like, and it seems like they're abandoned things. They're like 3 weeks old and stuff that are like irrelevant. And it's like, okay. I actually thought that like maybe it's smart, like ahead of these meetings, if like everybody goes through their own issues and make sure that they're up to date or something. And like maybe during the meeting, people could present their own issues, right? Like in that way, like they would take responsibility before coming to the meeting to make sure their house is in order. And then in the meeting, we could actually just go through the issues that are not assigned to anybody. So I don't know. I just wanted to propose that as an idea. Have a think about it. Maybe.
That would be so great, because I think everybody feels that it's too much now. And that's the downside of this heavy and active testing. It's really great to have so many eyes on things, because we do catch a lot of stuff that would fall through the cracks. But on the other hand, it can be really, like you said, frustrating. Have this avalanche of white noise, like, and you have to sort it.
Cool.
And what is this? The incredible launch.
I
found a good one. I will close this right now.
Yeah, close it. Go on. It's an epic. It was for the roadmap, basically. So
that's cool.
That's still coming. I mean, Marcus sings all over this now, dealing with it somewhere else.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, I closed it already. But let's be here. Transfer. See, this is a very good one. So this is actually for the content needed. It will go. So I'll make this lane right away. Is it here? New. How do I make a new lane?
Maybe the plus button.
Pipeline. A plus button? No. Yeah. Pipeline.
Dude. Do we want the lane or just a label? Because I feel like we still want to know if it's done. We still want to know if it's,
well, you're right. You're right. But I think we can move them out of this lane to done when they're done. It's just that these are clogging in progress and other things. And I know what you mean, because we can also work more. We could work more with views, but those views need then really good management on our side. If stuff has no label or no milestone assigned to it, it will just float there. And the content, I just want to free the devs to work more on serious issues, because I do feel that as important as copy is, it's not as important as a working application.
Do you think it makes sense to have them on the same board, or should we use the Giveth planning board? I don't love having them in two different places, but I also hear that, yeah, it's nice to just have dev issues on one board, and it's also nice to have issues that non-developers can pick up kind of on another board. And we should probably be, we have this Giveth planning board, we should probably be being more, using it more and doing kind of what you guys are doing here, where you review the board and assign issues and check on progress. So
I think it would be great to not have this in the board, because I mean, my feeling is I wanted to go through the new issues and I wanted to either put them in the icebox or the backlog. And with this, I had no idea what to make of it, basically. And it's kind of like, if it was somewhere else, I think it would be great, probably. I mean, you can have a brand new repo, right? Like there's just content also, or marketing, or I don't know.
Oh, in the end, devs have to do the content pieces, right? Like you guys will be, it is a developer issue. You will copy like someone needs to write the copy, but then once the copy's written, you guys actually need to put it in, right? I mean, it's just not assigned to you. It should start out as assigned to whoever's going to change the copy. And then it's just like Marco does design issues, right? Like, okay, this needs design first. Okay, so we assign it to Marco. And then when Marco has the design, then it gets implemented.
If we can get faster turnaround, the thing is that Marco is really on top of things, and that's why it works. And for content, there is no any person assigned. It's like always, whoever wants to pick it up, then somebody says, oh, I'm going to pick it up, and nothing happens. And that's why they stay in there and they clock things up, and it feels like slow progress, and it's demotivating a little. If we can get into it's probably also because we still have no person dedicated to, comps and content, that these things stay in there. So I don't know. Let me just quickly check. Did you say we have a new repo that we could connect here?
I was saying we could create a new repo.
Okay.
We have that option if we want, or we could use planning. Like, I mean, there is a strong argument for having it here. I mean, for me, it's just a question of like, it felt like I don't know how to action this, and I don't know how any of us can action this, like the people who use this board the most, right? It was just kind of left there. So
I noticed there's a content needed tag or label, but the content needed, there's actually only 2 issues.
Yes.
If you look it up. So maybe we need to use that tag more and then tell people like, this is the first that I'm hearing that you need content written.
I like the idea.
Maybe it needs to be pushed more.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Can you just try that? Try create a label and just start using this?
There is a label. We just have
the label already exists. It's not really being used.
This even goes back. Wow, that's a very old one. But it's still there has been great progress on this one. It's just not reflected here, and that's also one thing. Like people don't seem to look at issues that are here. They just like if they see something, they open a new issue, and I do have the feeling that that it's underestimated how much you clog stuff up by duplicating things, by not like just putting things out here. Even they're here, like there's 2. These are not like, they are just slightly connected for 11 and for 12. But like, and what is this even doing here? Like this is clearly planning, but it's here in the project board for developers. And I don't know, can I move stuff here to the other board?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because the boards are connected. I checked.
Yeah.
And it should be possible to move it to the other board, but I don't see it.
It's at the top where it says pipelines, and then there's usually like, if this is a repo that's accepted in the other board, then you can it'll have 2 pipelines in that board. But it's the repos, and it's really hard to move issues between repos.
All right. Are you okay, Griff? Did you chill a lot, or are you sick?
I lost my voice. I don't know what happened here. I have no excuse for why I'm losing my voice right now.
No, don't worry. Just I'm just worried. It's usually when there's a conference, you sound like that because you chill so much that you lose your voice. Happens to me too.
Maybe, yeah, maybe I was chilling. Yeah.
I just mean it in the most positive sense, of course.
I mean, I think one thing that would generally help is that, like, I mean, I assigned this issue to Forrest yesterday and the one above, right? Like, if you can assign an issue to someone and tag them and ask them and say, like, what is the status of this here? What is happening? And people respond to that. If people actually get used to using GitHub the way it should be used, I think we can easily deal with this kind of stuff, right? It's like we just don't have capacity to deal with this kind of thing when things are getting stuck, right? And like we have new issues coming in and things are not moving around.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think we have people who are eager to help with content. We have Mitch, we have Lauren, we have Ashley, we have Tommy, we have Willie, we have Danny. Even, I'm not going to touch it, I'll be honest, but it could be assigned to me. I mean, there's a lot of people on this call right now who would be able to take on these issues. So I think I think they are issues on this board. They are valuable, and in the end, you guys are the ones who will close them. So I don't think it makes sense to take them off the board. I think they just need to be assigned. And we have to do a better job at assigning opportunities to contribute to the rest of the people in the call.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. I'm still confused how I should like move those though.
We send people.
No, okay, no, yeah, that's not what I meant. Like, I would just like to have them not in here. Like, if something belongs in planning, but it's here, should I just like delete it here, move it over? I can do that, like go through everything and like whatever should be in planning, duplicate in planning and delete it on this board. And is that a good thing?
Let's keep it like, okay, I mean, I'm flip-flopping a little bit, but based on what everyone has said, like my opinion is like, let's keep it in the board. Let's use the labels. Let's look for volunteers to take ownership of these tasks. For me, like the purpose of this is to move things from new issues to either the backlog or to the icebox, right? Like, and to get ownership of tasks essentially. So like we can go through this now and like ask if anybody wants to take ownership of this task, for example, and figure out what the hell's going on with it. I mean, what is it? Transfer staging content. I don't know what that means. Do you know?
Yes, it means that they there was a Google Doc, and it's one of the things here, like it's great to link those, like making an issue like this, just putting a title here, leaving the standard thing not filled out here, not providing the link to the Google Doc is not the best way to handle an issue. I'm not hating on Forrest here, I just want to point out things. And that's how we should yeah, maybe I should make a session on like how to write meaningful issues with the content team here. I'll call them content team.
I do think it's worthwhile just setting some standards around our GitHub flow, and I'm open to keeping everything on this board. I'm also open to using the Giveth planning board for non-developer issues, and as soon as it's ready to be handed to a developer, like then an issue is created on this board with all the details that are ready to go. I do see some benefits of keeping things distinguished, and I think the content team, I think we can do a better job of going, setting our own standards for GitHub, and at the weekly meetings and stuff, going through the Giveth planning board and making sure that the priority issues are. But I do think, I think it'd be nice to have a session and just get really clear about what the GitHub process should look like.
Yeah, so I'll try to make that happen in the next days. I feel there is great value in the planning board because actually other people can own it and make it their own, and then they might have an easier time working with it as well. I feel this is a bit like, intimidating sometimes to work here in our dev board because people might not understand all the issue titles and stuff like that.
For sure.
Would it help if there was someone from the content team who took responsibility for like figuring out, like delegation of these content type tasks, or is it something that we should go through in this meeting together?
Yep, that would be great, I think. I will make a new label that is just a helper label now, and the label is called planning.
Also, there's the report a bug function in our app, and it goes to this board, right? So, like, we're just gonna have to accept that this is the board where all things go. If someone random who's not on this team makes an issue, it goes to this board, and half of those are going to be content issues. And if you want them to be if an issue comes up and the action item is move it to planning, you assign it to the person who's moving it to planning, and you move it to backlog. And you just move on.
And that's a very good thing you said there, Griff. And I'm thinking we might even want to have a different board catching those just that come from user input via the app. But let's for now keep stuff in this board.
Yeah, we can put a label on that, right? Like if it comes through there. And I mean, for me, like I think what's important is that we have a specific label that flags an issue as being owned by somebody who's responsible for delegating that issue. Like my problem with the situation as it stands right now is like I don't know how to move those content issues forward, right? Like I don't know how to delegate them or just make a decision on them. And I think if there's someone who is responsible for that, that would change everything. Because right now it's kind of like everyone and anyone drops stuff there and no one else is picking it up from there essentially. So again, I would suggest that like it would be helpful if there was someone from the content team who would take responsibility for delegation of those issues.
I mean, I have time. I can step into it.
Cool. Maybe we can talk about it after the call also and figure out how we do this.
Of course.
Because we are kind of running out of time for the dev call, I'm happy to talk about all of this. But if you guys are fine, I would make that how to deal with GitHub directly around tomorrow's call, the governance call, maybe after, straight after, so we can people can spill over, if that's fine, and we can move that discussion there, and we can make a mix of giving some structure and like shuffling things around. But maybe we should define just what features we would like for the next sprint so we can have that at least.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Does it?
Yeah.
So it's not all we got to do, right? And I think it's a good use of this time.
Sweet.
Oh, this is...
So I know Matteo mentioned some stuff was in progress, some new functionality. Is it complete? Right. Are you still working on?
Let me just make a new milestone here. So we'll call that, what do we call it? Feature sprint 1, because we didn't have one. Feature sprint 1.
I know we had been dropping a bunch of stuff in the fast follow.
Yes. We can, like, this is not set in stone, of course. We can change it. But I'm just quickly asking, like, our main features, do you want SSR in here, James?
Yes.
Do you want tests in here?
Potentially. I would like postpone that decision.
Okay. Any other like big topics that come to mind?
No, I would love to go through Marco's issues and see what he's added there at some point. Like, I mean, maybe we need to do another session with Yumi and Matteo or something just to go through like the new issues and figure out what we want to put into this feature sprint. I don't know if we're gonna have time now, are we? In 10 minutes?
Great. Now we're out of time. Like we have a few minutes, but yeah, sounds great. I'm for it.
Cool.
I have just two issues that I thought were important. One of them Marco made, which is adding token support, and I don't know if that fits the future roadmap, but I would like it to just to point it out that I think it's weird that you can only donate Ether these days. And then
Yeah.
the other issue that I wanted to point out was it's hard to find the feedback form, and at this stage, and probably for the next 6 months, I think that should be very easy for people to give us feedback. So there's an issue around that.
Cool.
Actually, those I think this is also a good feature that we could work on, is have some form of like this. All of this needs to be more robust. The feedback mechanisms, because they the way they work now is we have this form hook on Netlify, and I was looking at that yesterday. So we have one message from November, and we just only saw it now because you really have to dig into Netlify to get access to the responses. And first of all, almost nobody has access to that and should not have access to that. And second of all, I forgot until now to really check it. So I'm bad at this. So we should be email is what I want to say. And this all comes into Segment and analytics, and that is a good thing for me to work on the next sprint, is playing with Segment with these kind of things, because as far as I understand, we can also hook up emails with that, and then it would get sent to a Giveth email, and somebody can have it in their inbox.
Yeah, and on that note, if we get Segment enabled, there's like feedback collection tools and stuff that we can turn on with the flip of a switch. There's a whole catalog of things we can turn on without any extra dev work.
So this is a bit strange. I created a new milestone, but it's not here. And how do I even edit that milestone? Many things still to learn. Oh, here. Nice. It was quick. Cool.
Is there any other features or issues that people feel strongly like an urgency to get in, or that are important, like either as like a sort of on the fast track or in the first feature sprint?
I know you mentioned it earlier, James, the fiat on-ramp is awesome, but I also know it's a bigger feature. And I think we have some of these are kind of more core features before we get into that. Also the verification, identity verification that Marcos put the UI UX together for, that's one that we agreed we should get done before we do the big launch. And there's already some pieces of that in progress, but I don't want to bite off more than we can chew for this next sprint. So I might put those maybe towards the bottom of the list, in case we're able to get through the other things on the list.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, the Marcos issues are usually really good. I don't find that allow donations in other cryptocurrency. Okay, that's a bit. These are the same cryptocurrency, or are they not? I'm confused. Are tokens the same cryptocurrency?
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
If we filter by the enhancement label from Marco, we probably see all of his issues, right?
Yeah, that's what I just did. That's how I even found it.
Okay.
I also just added prioritize me to it. I don't know if that's the right label, but.
Oh, nice. It's a good one. Isn't there I thought there was a different. Okay, maybe not. No, that's a good way. I thought there was a different like severity category, but it's not. So this label is good. It might be a bit more threatening. I think this is too like green. I will make it more threatening of a color.
I just want to give Danny and Tommy and Ashley and Lauren and Mitch a chance to prioritize issues before the end of the call. Are there anything that the Costa Rica team saw that needs to be better?
I haven't seen any issues in particular, but coming back to the content thing, I've been trying to add the frequently asked questions to the content full, but I don't know that I feel super comfortable with my knowledge and experience to be able to answer some of those questions. And I feel like I've been asking people to edit the HackMD document so that I can get those into content full. but I haven't really received much response. So if you guys could go in there, maybe like just check what I've already written and make sure that it makes sense, even if you don't add anything to it, but just, you know, I don't know. I don't want to add any incorrect information.
No, that's of course a big.
I'll review. I'll try to review it during this meeting if that's okay. If that works, actually.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
There is an FAQ issue here that you can use for going forward with this. Here, I will just tag, but you're not even tagged here. So let me assign you. Come on. There you go.
Yeah, basically what I did is I went through all of the issues that had anything to do with frequently asked questions, all of the docs that did, and tried to transfer them all into that one main HackMD because there were so many frequently asked questions in so many different places. So I put the link for the HackMD document in the chat here.
Yeah. Or you can also please put it here as well. So it's like the chat, because the Jitsi chat is gone as soon as we leave this meeting. That's a good thing actually. Sorry, I probably never mentioned this, but I never read the chat here. And it's,
if you scroll up a little bit, the link is right above where you're at.
Yeah. No, I see the link. I'm just saying, I'm just looking here because you just said to look here. Just as a I'm so not used to just looking at the chat because there's so much going on during these calls.
No, I mean the link is in the issue already above if you scroll up.
Ah, okay. There it is. You are right. All right. We are at the full hour.
Just before we go, I think it would be great if we could collaborate together and come up with ideas as to how we can use this meeting more effectively. I would be happy to, I don't know, create a HackMD or create an issue on GitHub and just put our ideas in there. Like I definitely have some ideas, and I'm sure you guys too, because I feel like, yeah, like we still have the space to improve our processes, basically.
I feel so as well. So thank you. Yeah, I'll happily follow any advice and give feedback. And
yeah, well, let's collaborate together on some document where we can figure it out.
Cool.
Hey guys, I just wanted to chime in real quick. I know that's a subject for the community call, looking at how to make it, so we can look at how to use the different ones better. I also want to apologize. I've actually been having great challenges getting my cache cleared and things properly. I'm still seeing a lot of old things and trying to figure out why that's still happening for me. And also I'm kind of an invisible hand behind a lot of the team here. Ashley Loring comes over and sits on my couch and gets me to review all of the documents and edit things with her. Maybe you and I can have a session like that too, to get, because I didn't know about this HackMD issue.
Yeah, no worries. I wanted to have a jam session with you at some point too, with some marketing stuff anyway, so maybe we can find some time. I just know there's been a lot going on.
Nice. I also feel that it might get better in the future, because I do see that that the people around you, Dani, are getting more and more into the flow of things here. So if we grow it a bit further, I feel we can make a lot of progress. Or more progress than we had in the past. Like it will get easier, is what I want to say.
Yeah, like praise to everybody here for all of the questions they've been with our growth edges. But man, we're moving really fast and getting people skilled up really fast, and it feels good.
Mm-hmm. All right. I don't know who wants to take it, Forrest, but the floor is yours.
Yes, please. Awesome. Thanks so much. Let me just share my screen with our agenda. Cool. Can everyone see my screen with the community call agenda in Notion?
Looks good.
Boom. Awesome. So today for check-ins, we kind of started doing this with our marketing call a few days ago, and it was really fun to go around and love up on everyone and do a bit of authentic relating. We're going to shift things up a little bit as we discussed on our last community call, kind of mirroring what TEC is doing for our check-ins today. I would like for us to, instead of doing updates, distractions, and intentions, let's share a quick update, anything you'd like to see added to the agenda, or just something that, you know, really arises for you. And then praise. So when it is your turn and after you give your update, we will give some time for popcorn praise from everyone on the call. Doesn't have to be every single person, but just it's an opportunity to popcorn some praise for that person. Can be personal praise, can be related to milestones and accomplishments, or just great collaborative working from the week. And does anyone have any questions?
It would be great to like scroll up, because we can all see your screen, or down wherever the agenda is, just so people can have a look if they want to add stuff.
Yep. Yeah, we can go through that real quick. So we're going to talk about communications and project management, about the agenda for this call moving forward, and note-taking alignment. We've got obviously section for the DAO, for fundraising, update on donation pathways, give token, our typical update sections. We can call this trace and giveth. For ops update, and then we've got a section here on marketing, what the marketing team's been up to, and closing. So yeah, when you have your update, if you'd like to add something in, now's a good time. Who would like to go first?
I can go first. I love to give praise to people, and
Okay.
I feel the agenda is a bit dense. So I don't know, with these recurring items, I'm not sure. We should try to be more lean. What that is, I cannot say right now, because there was so much. But maybe reevaluate. And let me get straight to praise. Oh, so much praise. So my first praise goes to Matteo and James for pulling an all-nighter on Monday after putting the application live on Giveth.io, and seeing a few problems, and then not going to sleep. It's mainly James and me, because we're in Europe, but like Matteo was hacking away like crazy and found the solution, and so we could go to sleep finally. And I'm pretty convinced we would have found no sleep until we fixed that issue. So that is very good. Yeah, thanks Cam for applause. Like those guys really always on top of things, so it's great. Seems like we increased the pressure a bit, so that's cool. Next praise goes to Willie. I gave it before. I will be shorter now. You're so cool, and your presentation was just the greatest. So much love. Thank you very much. My next praise goes to Mitch, because he is involving himself more and more, and like dealing with the arcane stuff that is really hard to mess. And he wrote an article, and I gave some feedback, and might need some change still. It's a hard and stony path, because like I said, it's very hard to write about something in depth that is very hard to understand. So praise for even taking it on and doing more and more. And the rest of the praise goes to Tommy, Ashley, Lauren, Donnie, who I see pop in wherever I go. So I see you all over the internet. You are very present, and you always give what you can give. And I think it's great. It's really in the spirit of giving and Giveth. There was a lot of praise. Should I give it to somebody next? Then I give it to the master praiser, Griff.
Sure. Okay, well, I want to give praise to Willie as well for that amazing talk. I learned a lot just watching his talk, and I think it'll help me improve my talks for the rest of my life, honestly. So really, really amazing work. And I also want to give praise to some people who aren't on this call ever, but are heroes, Mohammed, and we have a new front end dev. It's also named, there's like 2 Mohammeds, 2 Mahdi's, and then Hadi and Ashley and Lauren, and the work on Giveth Trace, especially around, a lot of the, like, special praise to Hadi and Ashley on working through the email notifications, which is something that is so important and will have add a lot of value, but it's boring, grueling work in some ways, and it's just so amazing to see people put in the effort to like get it done. I also want to give major praise to Gabby in a weird way for just telling us that he wasn't going to have the bandwidth to really hack on our smart contracts as soon as he did, because it would have been much worse if we didn't know that for this week. So I really want to give praise to Gabby on the great communication. And yeah, I'll pass it to Willie.
Thanks, Griff. Thanks for the praise, everybody. I want to give praise right back to you guys. I think doubling up on the praise to Mateo and James for pulling the all-nighter and going live with the soft launch and getting that ready to go. Really appreciate you guys working late to make sure that the Giveth didn't have any terrible bugs. Also, praise to Mitch and to Lauren for putting together some great articles. I really enjoyed. I haven't read Mitch's yet, but I'm looking forward to reading it. I read Lauren's and I thought she really nailed it. So that was super awesome to see. Praise to Tommy and Marco for creating some great issues, and anyone else who created some issues. I've seen a lot from them, and appreciate you guys testing and creating issues for how we can improve. Yeah, I'm sure there's more, but I don't want to spend too much time. I'm loving these praises though, and yeah, I appreciate the praise for the presentation. I think it was really easy because there's so much great stuff to talk about, so it's pretty easy to put together, fill up a presentation talking about all the amazing things that the original Giveth team accomplished and that you guys have accomplished over the past year. And yeah, as far as updates go, we're excited now that we're soft launch, excited to sync up with you guys and keep the ball rolling, keep the momentum going, talk about what the most important things are for us to do now that we are out in the wild. So yeah, and just props to the community. I love these praises, and I'm just blown away with just reflecting on how far we've come over the past year and seeing all these amazing people here today, all around the world collaborating on building the future of giving. Just really warms my heart. Can't think of a more beautiful thing to see on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I'll pass it to Mateo.
Hey guys, happy Sunday. I'll begin with my main distraction before the praise because I feel a little bit crappy. I have a session of rhinitis. I don't know if that's called in English. I'm not sure, but it's whatever in my nose. It's really fucked up. So I won't be very active in this meeting. For my praise session, it's almost the same as Kai said. The dev team was amazing. The presentation of Willie in September was really cool, so I have to praise him for that. And my main praise this time is for the testing team that is doing an amazing feedback in GitHub. It's almost unbelievable because I see something happened, this broke, and half an hour after or something like that, there is something that they were trying to do. So the error was more clear for us devs. So I find that really amazing, and not every test team does that. So I have to praise that. So everybody that is testing, I give you props, I give you a prize because that's really amazing. And that's it. I'll pass it to Amin.
Hi, I want to praise actually everyone, but specifically Griff for his great talk in Denver about the community and what's our goal in community stack. And also I praise Willie. I haven't heard your talk honestly, but I have heard that it's great. I praise James, Matthew, Kai. They were actively working and for soft launch. I didn't participate, but I was watching the notification that they are actively working for keeping this system up. And also I praise testers. As Matthew said, that their impact is great, and without their test, we don't know that we have issues, and also they have reported some great issues that they found some bugs in US1. But thank you, all of them. Yeah, I don't want to add anything else. I pass it to James.
Thanks, Amin. Yeah, what a week. I mean, like, super respect to Kai and Matteo for Monday, like really pushing hard to make sure everything is rocking out. Like, Kai set up the new development environment. Kai puts his headset on. Kai can hear me. Kai set up the new dev environment. Like, no task is too hardcore or not urgent enough for him. Matteo cranking out the widgets all the time, like making shit happen, like features, bugs, who cares, all the same, making it happen. Yeah, man, it's been super great. I'm super grateful to work with all of you. Like, I feel like a lucky bastard, basically. Props to Griff for his support, for speaking the good words on the stages, for Willie recounting the history and making us all know where we're coming from and where we're going. And yeah, marketing team sat in there briefly this week also, like working hard. Props to you guys, all the content you're doing also, all the testing. It's so nice, so great. Feeling super supported, feeling like we can do anything. And yeah, I mean, respect to you all and love to you all and gratitude to you all. Thank you so much. And I will give it to Danny.
Hello, guys. Oh my gosh, how just all of the praise that you've already said, all of that. This week has just been amazing. Besides the praise that's already been given that I just second all the way around, I want to give some praise to Tommy for jumping into some beautiful places and facilitating a talk on metagame about the different projects and things that we're doing. I want to give praise especially to Ashley and Lauren and Mitch and Magenta and Forrest, specifically as the marketing team, because meeting 2-3 times a week to really figure out how to concisely describe and explain what's happening as we launch has been an epic deep dive into areas that need more clarity and bringing those up so we can get as clear as we can. Also seconding Kai's remark about getting our agendas more lean. It just took a couple of sections out of the agenda that don't really have significant updates to share right now. And big praise to Amin and that development team on Giveth One. Everything is just looking so amazing over there all the time. And I know once I get things cleared up here, I'll be saying the same thing about Giveth too. I guess I want to give some praise to Kai and James and Matteo also for all of the work with all of the madness that is our GitHub issues everywhere as we all get it figured out. There's a ton of ideas that have been put forth on how to manage our planning and decision making and getting things closed and cleared, and I know that's going to happen soon too. And I'll pass it to Lauren.
Hey everyone. Yeah, a lot of good praise. I like can echo a lot of it, but so stuff additional praise that I have in my mind that I'd like to give to people. I'd like to praise Danny for just like always answering our questions in real life and just like coming over and sitting and hanging out with me all day as we like chat about everything all over the world, including all this Giveth stuff and giving us like so much support and content writing and answering all of our questions. I'd like to give praise also to everyone in the dev call who's like trying to come up with a better flow to the GitHub board, which has been driving me crazy. So I'm like really excited that we're working on doing that. Praise to Tommy for making me laugh continuously with like memes and good puns and jokes. Yeah, and well, praise to everybody. You guys are all wonderful. I'm really glad to be part of this team. And praise to Forrest for coming up with great ideas to make us feel like connected and so authentically relate and do something different. And I will pass it to Ashley.
Hi. Okay. I think you guys took all my I definitely thought it was really cool to see Willie during his talk, like really representing what I feel like is the personality of Giveth, more like as well as explaining how it all worked, like with the unicorn horn and everything. And Mitch, I know, has been working on the docs.giveth.io and putting a lot of stuff in there. So that's really awesome. Praise to the dev team, because I feel like in this whole transition period between soft launch and public launch, there's a whole lot of things to figure out, but I definitely see the progress that we're making, and we could do it. I know we can. And Danny, of course, for always just like being there and doing so much work to help us be more aligned with each other and connected and clarifying anything that we have. And yeah, I'll pass it to Tommy.
Well, shit. Oh, wait, can't say that now. I echo everyone's praise. I especially praise Forrest for setting up all these like team building little exercises. I think that we can be more concise on them, but I think that this is an important part of team building. Praise to Danny for bringing us in on this. Praise for Mitch for his patience for going through things like this. I know that sometimes you're like, all right, let's just get to the point. Praise to the dev team for really recognizing everyone's work here in the CR tribe. And definitely praise to Willie and Griff for all the ETH Denver. And praise to Kai for helping me kind of step up and recognizing that I can do things within metagame and give that kind of crossover and learning some new skills. So thank you. And praise to Ashley for listening to my endless in real life hacking sessions that sometimes I just throw at her. And I will pass it to Mitch.
Sure, I'll take it. Yeah, I'd like to give some praise for Lauren for the blog post that she wrote, and also to Calvin and Lauren for getting the video on its way, and as well to the dev team for constantly testing and getting live Giveth too. And obviously echoing most of the things that everybody has already said. Some things that I noticed that maybe shouldn't be on this meeting, but maybe we should start thinking about is there's been a lot of talk about what we're naming the Giveth dApps. And maybe that's too big of an issue for this call, but at least it was said. And I will pass it to Cam.
Thanks, Mitch. I'll be brief. Definitely praise to the entire team, of course. That team crushed it. Everyone at ETH Denver crushed it. And yeah, I have some ideas I'd like to share, but I'll wait to the very end. But yeah, praise to everyone here. You guys are amazing. Happy Valentine's Day. So that's it. I don't know who's left. I think I was last.
Thank you. Yeah, I think just me, Forrest. I believe the only one who hasn't gone yet. Shout out to the unicorn on Willie's head at ETH Denver. Lots of praise there. That was super cool. Definitely echo like highlighting the brand and the personality of Giveth. I mean, everyone has kind of spoken to it all. I absolutely echo the praise that everyone has said above. I just really feel so grateful to be a part of this team. Everyone is so enthusiastic and driven and brilliant. And I'm just pretty blown away by everyone here. So thank you. And thank you to everyone on this call for your present moment, attention and focus and love on Lovers Valentine's Day. Okay, so moving into
I also see, I think Magenta's here, and I see another Jane.
She said she didn't want to talk.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Okay. So just digging in, just want to give a quick little overview for those that maybe weren't on our last community call agenda. In an effort to mirror a bit more of what TEC is doing, we're going to try out this flow where the beginning of the call is updates and praise. Then we have the agenda being built by the actual section owners. So you can either just add your section in yourself on Sunday mornings, or you can ping me on Discord with what you would like the bullets to be for your section, and I'll get it added in for you. So this can be just any team lead or representative from the various teams and circles at Giveth. The purpose of these calls, it's going to be an update-focused agenda where we're showing proposals and other relevant work and just giving updates. It's not intended for decision-making or in-depth discussions, so we can breeze through more quickly. The in-depth discussions and decision-making will be done in team meetings that are ongoing throughout the week, or in like Discord and Aragon votes. We'll be collecting proposals and action steps for the week when necessary, and then we'll have closing thoughts. Any questions on the structure of our community call agendas? Okay, cool beans. And then understanding that this is really just updates and not discussion, please keep that in mind with what I'm about to share. This isn't intended to be a discussion. It's just kind of a bullet point, and then we can discuss later in Discord. So I have heard a number of people voice a desire for more alignment across channels and meetings and teams. We've already gotten aligned with our video conferencing. We're all using everything in Interspace now. Our messaging is more aligned, but something that is not is our agendas and note-taking. A lot of the teams, I think, due to just ease and ease in collaboration and finding where things are, have been using Google Docs. I know we've been doing that in the marketing team. It's been working really great. Here, obviously, in our community calls, we've been doing Notion. But a lot of folks have expressed difficulty with Notion. It's not as easy and user-friendly. There's a lot of features, but it takes just a longer time to use. So my recommendation, and I will make more of a formal proposal for this probably in Discord. I'll message Kai and see what the right process for that is. But my proposal is that we just use Google Drive and streamline everything there to make things more aligned and simple. And if you have a dissenting or opinion or big feedback on that, we can discuss that in our Discord vote for that proposal. Okay, so moving over here to the Giveth Reputation DAO. Danny, feel free to jump in here if there's anything that you want to share, but just quick updates. The Bloom marketing invoice has been paid. Danny and I synced with Magenta a few days ago, and based on the meetings we've been having with the marketing team, shared with her what our team is working on and what we would love the Bloom Network support with, mostly like distribution and organization and managing Twitter and Medium. And so we kind of scaled back in some ways and up in other ways the V2 proposal that she'd shared. And we kind of came to like a verbal discussion of, I think it was $500, maybe even $450 per month as an ongoing long-term contract to support marketing. So we'll have a formal proposal and voting coming soon so that we can get Magenta and the Bloom Network's next invoice paid on a monthly basis and get to work. But the cool thing is Magenta is going to go ahead now and start managing our Twitter and doing like daily recurrence of posting. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. I'm also going to support Griff in making sure our monthly contract payments to contributors are completed at the beginning of each month. So I'll help to get things organized. And we've got an official vote forthcoming on our naming for like the marketing team clarification and direction. I know we had a vote in in Discord, but I've seen a number of different discussions where it's like, is it official? Is it not official? Maybe like people have different ideas. So just some concerns in our copywriting. We want to make sure we're aligned in how we're referencing everything. Is it Giveth Trace and Giveth, Giveth One? So just getting a little bit more clarity on that. Danny, is there anything else that you wanted to mention on this subject?
Well, the only thing I'll say is that Magenta actually confirmed if she hasn't seen that payment hit her wallet, so I'm checking in with Brian to find out if there's a holdup in getting that done and make sure that happens right away. And yeah, let's have the further conversations around those decisions that need to be made in our governance call tomorrow, and explore the possibility of considering Giveth One, which we didn't for historical reasons, but I'd like to reconsider that. James brought it up, and just it's got some ring, and it's given us some pause as to what we put into this content before we put it out. Yeah, that's all I've got right now.
Okay, beautiful. And then our next section is also pertaining to you on fundraising. I've just got 2 bullets here on if there's an update around the Better Giving Studio from the Gates Foundation. And then just a note that ongoing for our partnership program, we're continuing to update our outreach list and contact partners to invite them for a media collaboration, to donate and match, and add Giveth blurb to their newsletters.
Yeah, I need to get some better images. They said that I can still send them for the page on Better Giving Studio. Their new website isn't going live for another probably 2 weeks. So I've got some time to make sure we have all of our text and copy updated properly to give them some nice screenshot images to list on there. And then Giveth will be up on Better Giving Studio as a better way to give. Regarding the partnership program, Ashley and I are going to hack on the list of all the different people who have shared their information as friends, fans, and followers of Giveth to make sure we get information out to them about the updates to Giveth and how to get involved with us, including how to give. I see you also have me on for that next agenda bullet item, the donation pathways and SDG impact updates. I don't really have any updates to this right now. I'm still hacking on an article that summarizes all of this really clearly. And there's a draft out there, but I'm still working on that this morning. That's all I got.
Amazing. Thank you, Danny. Okay, so for our Give token economy, not a lot of huge major updates unless Willie or Griff would like to speak to something, but obviously partnering with DAppNode, we've got links here. We are almost complete with our first sprint. Tomorrow we're going to do our celebration and review and then do some pre-planning for our second sprint to begin on Wednesday. So me, Willie, and Griff will hack on that pre-planning on Tuesday. Griff, I actually wasn't aware about what you shared with Gabby earlier, though that is great for the clear communication. But is there any update that you'd like to share here on the community call with the team around the Give token that you've heard from Edu or Gabby?
So if we want to have the big update is if we don't get a smart contract up in the next week, then I would say we take the project curation out of the initial scope for MVP launch. As much as it would be awesome to have, I think we can solve the problems in a simple way without it and just follow the DAppNode work. Because in my opinion, it's more important that we have speed in launching our token than anything else. That's just the reality. I wish it wasn't. I really wish it was oh no, we really actually need to provide a valuable economy and a use case. No, that's just not true, sadly. You can look at Hermes, or you look at any of these other token economies that have launched already, and they have nothing, and that seems acceptable to most things, like just a promise and reputation, which we can have. However, I am still scrambling this week to find a smart contract dev that has has executed before on projects and can achieve our relatively simple project curation requirements. I'm talking to Will J. Griff, another Griff. It's always good. The Griffs are always badasses, so that's always a good sign. Talking to Will J. Griff from One Hive, and reached out to a couple others. But if anyone else has any leads on smart contract devs, I just want to put like a 1 week requirement. Otherwise, we just move on and launch. So that's the main update from my side. And Edu said he was delayed on the vesting and liquidity mining stuff, but it should get up this week for sure. Willie, did you have anything?
No, I think you covered it. I do have some questions around what it would look like if we took the MVP route. Like, assuming that if we aren't able to find a smart contract dev and we launch the MVP version, it sounds like you have an idea for how we could still enable projects or donors to get rewarded with give tokens when they donate to a project. Do you have an idea for how we could still enable that in MVP?
Retroactively. We just say, listen, you donate, we're going to give you rewards, but exactly how that works out, we'll see. Sorry, guys, but donate and you will be earning give tokens. It's just going to take some time to implement. If you want to help us build the future of giving, help us implement it.
Cool. I totally agree that this time is of the essence right now, and there's a lot of examples of projects that have a lot less than we do have, and that didn't hold them back from launching. And there's still the community is still getting excited as long as they have a good narrative and a good reputation, which we do have. So hopefully we can find a great smart contract developer this week. But if not, I second that we might have to move forward with an MVP route, and that could be fine. But I do think, I'm glad to hear that. As long as we can have a path to really reward users with donations, I do think that's important to have at MVP. So glad that we have some ideas for how we could do that in an MVP fashion. Nothing else to add, really.
Okay.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but these days we can just upgrade, right? Down the line.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it wouldn't be an upgrade. It would just be an addition.
It would be, MVP. Yeah, I get it. Thanks.
Sorry, Forrest. I think it's all you now.
All good. Yeah, thanks, Willie and Griff, for the updates. Okay, so moving down to DApp updates, issues, and requests. Giveth Trace, do we have any major things to share from the past week?
One thing. Well, go ahead. I mean, you start.
No. Please go.
Okay, I just wanted to add that there's a lot of discussion about when do we move from beta to trace.giveth.io, and I put out some just 2 requirements that I feel are necessary. Number 1, no major issues for 2 sprints, like especially around donating or receiving or claiming funds, just because there's an issue. And if we're on beta, they're okay. If we say they're not beta, then so let's have some proof of concept. Let's have a month where there's no big issues, and we can, if we want, we can do the countdown. Like, hey, there has been no deaths on the highway since for 4 days. Okay, cool. That's all cool by me. But I would like that as a requirement. Also, the big milestone, the big one feature that we want to add is making a milestone on Giveth Trace is just too hard. And we have the UX design, and we have a new front end developer. So once we have that updated and we have 2 sprints of no issues, no critical issues around claiming funds or donating, then I would say we can get rid of that beta tag. So, I mean, do you have anything to add?
No, actually, I'm a little concerned about the bridges. And bridge monitor, they have issues these days. I don't know why. Maybe their database become bigger, or I don't know. I should investigate. So yeah, and we have not onboarded yet new front-end devs, and onboarding and is one thing and make them useful. Another thing, because Muhammad is great right now, but if we onboard new devs, because our application is not well like other commercial applications that they have worked, the training maybe some time consuming. I try my best. Yeah, and I'm not sure we can make it give us trace not beta, make it release in 1 month. Maybe we need more time, but I'm working hard. Me and Muhammad, we are working hard and fixing issues. I am updating immense change in the front end, and we are updating our role permissions functionality. We don't use our configuration files to update user roles anymore. We are changing the email infrastructure, and yeah, these are changes that we are going for right now, and we have steps to make it a stable, not beta application. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. Thanks, Griffin. I mean, all right. So Giveth, our new application. We're in quiet soft launch. The user testing is in progress. I'm curious, have we been transferring and onboarding projects and receiving feed forward since we soft launched?
I can just say that I see some. I'm pretty sure that there's a common stake campaign on beta as well. So for sure, Griff made one that's there. I don't know, and so maybe somebody else wants to speak about this, because I'm just saying what I think and not what I know. So that's the only thing. I would say we are still in heavy testing period. We just identified a serious bug prior to the dev call. Like Marco found it yesterday that like we don't actually trace donations very well on a platform. They work, but they are not reflected in UI. And as long as we have those, like we really want to stay very quiet. My hope was actually to be as quick with what we call the Giveth tab now, so we don't we have like these options to like relieve beta of or trace. So see, now it's getting really confusing, of the burden of being the front facing application. It would be great to have like this little or more simple application front facing, and then pipe people over to the more feature heavy one. And I guess that's still the plan. Otherwise, the soft launch did go okay, but many bugs were found, were immediately fixed. Not immediately, but as before anybody noticed. We should still be quiet about stuff. I would like to have Giveth.io not being tweeted around too much these days because of those bugs. Yeah, I hope that in the next there's this little thing we have to fix, and then it's at least okay for everyone to go there, and we don't have to be embarrassed about anything. And because I see there no update on the Fiat integration as far as I know.
Yeah, I think right now we need to be focused on just getting some projects listed and be clear with those projects that we're in the soft launch mode. We're aware of some of these small bugs and focused on fixing those so that once we so that soon in the future we can start inviting people to actually come do donations. I know there's still some confusion about kind of what stage are we at right now and should we be marketing. I think the only way we should be marketing is kind of directly to projects that we think would be a good fit, and just being clear with them that there are some known issues that we're focused on stomping out right now. So they shouldn't expect any donations or stuff to come through yet. Right now we're just in the process of getting some solid projects listed and making sure there aren't any major bugs. And with the Fiat integration, yeah, we're mostly right now. There's a good list of bugs and improvements that we need to focus on before we dive into new features. For those of you that did create a project, or that anyone that did maybe help onboard a project and stuff, is there any feedback on how that went? How that process
I added a couple of projects from our pilot projects list that I'm the person to contact for, and I did run into, I think, one little bug that I made an issue for, and I was working with Mateo on. It was just about images. It wasn't anything major. But so far, we haven't reached out to anybody outside on the marketing side because we've just kind of been waiting until it's a little more stable, and then people could come and start adding them.
That's great. Yeah, I thought like creating a project was really cool, simple, and worked well. Like I said before, we are not tracking donations. Donations work. They are also going through. So funds are safe always. So that's very important to know. People, if you have a project that is eager and wants to be onboarded, I think it's a good way to say, hey, yeah, sure, you can go there. It's best to even help them because you want a good picture, you want a good text, and also that might take some thinking and trying around. But they should not expect to have crazy donations inflow. But even if they get something donated, it will totally go to the address they specified.
Awesome,
Evidence
guys.
is the blockchain explorer. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Cool. Are there any other updates on Giveth, the process we've been in for soft launch?
I mean, just to echo that, making a project was super easy. I had no bugs, and it was fantastic. So, congrats, well done.
That's what we want to hear from you, Griff. Nice.
I wish I had like a mixer where on the call I could just play like audience clapping or something.
We can make that happen, but I'm happy that you don't. It's not everybody. I'm cool with it though. James wanted to say something.
No, I was trying to clap. Actually, I realized I'm raising my hand instead.
Nice. We'll take it as a clap. Okay, and sounds like we probably just need some more time to like continue identifying bugs and fixing these major ones. But is there any discussion of when we feel we might anticipate being ready for a more official public launch, or do we not feel comfortable to even guesstimate that sort of date at this point?
I would say, I mean, to be clear, like the issue we have right now is an edge case. Like there is use cases where it's actually working. And I mean, once we have this resolved, as far as we know, that's the only kind of, serious issue, right? So I would expect that like it could be another 2 or 3 days. A brief update I would bring in from the dev meeting is that we'll be doing new features in 2-week cycles and live hot fixes and urgent issues ASAP. So yeah, we'll keep you posted in the dev channel, but I expect if not tomorrow, then the day after, we should be able to resolve this issue. And I personally would be happy at that point. I don't know you guys to blast it out.
I also want to add that the mainnet is so expensive that even when we are live, it might be a bit overwhelming in terms of like how many people come there, donate.
Are you, great point about the gas issue. James, are you saying that you think we could be ready in about 3 days for the big official launch?
Yeah.
Do we want to, I know we had talked about issues like the identity verification and stuff, not just like bugs, but also some features being potentially blockers for the big official launch.
I would just say that like it's awesome that dev is a go in 3 days, but I think there's marketing and projects, getting more projects on board, and probably a few other criteria that we might want to just outline as it's a go, requirements.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to add one last point that there is no whitelist or blacklist on this whole thing, so anybody can go. So I think that is very brave of us to even have it open.
Is that difficult to build after the fact if there's a problem though?
No, I mean it's to delist is kind of already on the dev environment, so it's in the pipeline, I would say. We could very quickly just go into the database and remove something in a few minutes.
Cool.
So if I understood, sorry.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Okay. So if I understood, you want to do the real launch in 3 days, and I'm thinking there's still. Go ahead, James.
I just want to clarify, what I said may be misleading. I wasn't talking about let's do a massive launch and blast it out. What I mean is that this outstanding issue I hope to have resolved within at least 2 days, and at that point there's really no reason not to tell people about it. In terms of really putting the foot down and really doing a big launch, as Griff outlined and as would make sense. We probably should have a bigger plan around this and more projects on board, right? So
Yeah,
maybe that's something we should plan to schedule.
I think you're still missing a lot of the features that we were talking about, like ERC20 tokens, fiat donations, give token functionality to really, because right now it only takes projects that can only be donated in ETH, and that's it.
So it's your opinion that that's not enough to launch it with?
I mean, a lot of the talking points that we were getting people excited about don't actually work now.
Yeah, I gotta say, it sounds like we need a medium launch in between soft and hard launch. Soft launch to make sure it works, medium launch to make sure we have our language and marketing alignment correct, and a hard launch when I personally think it would be great if we could have that fiat on there before the big full public launch. I just think it's like our key feature that we've been working towards, and it feels like we're coming short without having that for the big announcement.
Yeah, scope creep is crazy here, right? There's so many good features, so we really just need to nail down what those features are, and hold that line. Don't let the scope creep slow us down, please.
Am I wrong though? Isn't fiat part of the MVP?
No, you're right.
We need some clarity around terminology and what is included in things, and alignment around what does it mean for the big launch, right? From the marketing team perspective, what's in the pipeline, what features are promised inside of that content, and I guess that's something we're not going to resolve here on this call, right? I'm happy to align with you guys this week and figure that out. Most likely we just have a question of terminology here, right? What is going to happen when we are MVP ready? What's going to happen when we're feature complete for a big launch? And in this way, we just need to do some alignment, I think, in terms of understanding of each other and all of this.
And have the features written down so that they can be executed on, and holding that line. I know one feature that I want to add to the scope creep is XDAI on ramp and off ramp. So like if we're going to do fiat, then I hope that we can also allow that to go on to XDAI to reduce gas costs for everyone. And if we have fiat on ramp, then we need fiat off ramp as well. Would be very useful. But off ramp doesn't need to be there as long as there's proof of for the MVP. But as long as there's proof of concept for off ramp from XDAI. I'm not talking about an XDAI bridge as much as I'm saying, hey, if people have XDAI tokens or XDAI themselves, they can just donate on XDAI and it goes to the same address that the donor has. And with Taurus, they can use XDAI. With the MetaMask, they can use XDAI. And then they don't have to pay a fee. And if we give them an off-ramp, then that's a sweet deal. Because like even donating on Gitcoin is fucking expensive. It's ridiculous. Even if you use Matic, you have to do the bridge. Fuck the bridge. You don't need the bridge. If you got XDAI, donate on XDAI. If you don't, donate on it. You know, it's fine.
And free off-ramp.
The biggest crippler is gas, because even Marco was saying he made a donation and it cost him $5 to donate $5.
Yeah, I might imagine your project trying to off-ramp your cash also, right? I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
and there are exchanges that take XDAI. There are, but I don't know how easy it is to get an account that goes to your bank. And then there's off-ramp, right, or on-ramp, which I don't know. I didn't hear if there was research on an XDAI off-ramp that works. But as long as the research proves that it's possible, then I hope that we can add that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have XDAI. I just want to throw that out there. Like all of us in this call have XDAI, so it's not unheard of.
Yeah, I think it would be really helpful to have clarification around this, especially from the marketing perspective, because when we're creating content, we're creating it in a way of what we can promise to people once that piece is published. And so to have like a final list of what will be included in the launch so that we can write our pieces to that, and then we just, however long it takes to get those features integrated, and then that's when we launch or something. I don't know, but I feel like from trying to create the content and like some of these blog posts and stuff, that it's all really based on what the application will be able to do at time of launch, and there's so much like murkiness around that.
Okay, well, let's get rid of the murkiness this week. I mean, to be clear, like what we want is an app that like we can confidently invite people to create their projects on and receive donations, and there won't be any issues, right? So we're still like we're in the final 0.5% of executing on our soft launch right now. Like that's pretty much first milestone, right? And then like it could be another week or longer, I don't know, until we do the big launch, or most likely it'd be more than that, and we can get whatever features need to be into that in there essentially. But let's definitely have a chat about that tomorrow. I'm available for anyone who wants to talk about that.
There's the marketing check-in on Tuesday. Maybe we can set aside some time there.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. Well, let's talk about it then.
Sounds great. And then, yeah, I think we have some of these small questions that will be answered when we go through our marketing agenda. Are there any ops updates, Kai?
Many. We have a new development environment and fixed like a few things there. So it's streamlined for Giveth IO. It's streamlined. I'm working on the bridge with DevNode. Like sadly, they also have a small team, and there was a hiccup with ETH Denver, so that actually pushed. Like I just pinged the person responsible just before or during this call. So I hope to get that ASAP. Otherwise, yeah, things are running.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm just going to blow through a couple of quick marketing updates. There's some links at the top here. So all of our meeting notes are super detailed and have been compiled in the Giveth Google Drive. We've got a marketing folder in there now that everyone has access to. There's a hyperlink here. The second bullet you see is called Questions for Copywriters Living Document. This is kind of where the content writers have been compiling questions that are arising as they're writing our blog posts and more detailed content. And I think pinging this document to like the devs or to different people to get those questions answered. And ideally, the problem was that every person that was being asked on the team was giving a different answer from one another. There's just a lot of different perspectives. And so the ideal is that this is our living document for the latest and greatest official answer to these questions. And this is the FAQ basically that our writers are going to be looking to and using when curating content. So this is a great reference document for the devs that might clarify some things, and let's make sure we're aligning on our responses. This third bullet point, our marketing content calendar. So in a lot of ways, this mirrors what you would see in the fourth bullet point, which is our Giveth planning board filtered by the Giveth to launch marketing campaigns epic. But we've put it into like a Google spreadsheet format where you can see all of the different topics that we're writing on across different channels. So Twitter and Medium and Reddit discussions and YouTube videos, all kinds of things. And it's just a nice way for us to organize by publication date our upcoming posts and see, what the frequency is on different channels and the topics that we're promoting pre-launch, at launch, and post-launch. Just to give some quick updates, we are well in progress on creating a hype video. Shout out especially to Lauren and Calvin, which is promoting functionality and user experience of the new application. And then this video is going to be on our channel. It'll be embedded at the top of blog posts and circulated around Twitter. And we'll also share this with partners and projects to help them with ease of use, and also requesting them to share and retweet. We've been consolidating and building our target outreach lists. We're in progress on a number of great strategic, more in-depth content pieces. Thanks so much to our Costa Rica team, doing a lot of great job on that content writing. And so we're queuing up our content, and we'll have it stored in Google Drive so that Magenta from the Bloom Network can, who's managing our Medium channel, she'll publish them at our strategically determined times across platforms and promote on Twitter and all that jazz. Next steps, we've got we're currently meeting twice weekly because of the launch. Tuesdays and Fridays, morning time, Central Time. Ultimately, we'll shift to once weekly meetings and maybe even like less in the later on down the road. Magenta's joining us on Tuesdays. Next step also for the team to fill in the content calendar regularly with the status of your owned content. And then I'm making the updates to the GitHub issues on Tuesdays and Fridays in our meetings. And of course, there's comments in the threads as we have updates. And also next step, this Tuesday, we have our next check-in, and we'll be reviewing the GitHub planning board. Link to the pilot projects here on the bottom. And we did it, you guys. It's 12. I want to leave some time for questions on what I just shared around marketing. And if anyone has just popcorn closing thoughts, now's a good time before we drop. Crickets.
I was busy there, following
Potatoes.
Tommy. I just wrote to Young Kid Warrior if he might be able to help us with our token. He's a great Giveth man, it seems. So let's see. And
Yeah.
thank you, Forrest, for another great meeting moderated. I love how you do this.
My pleasure.
On the marketing side, what's the status of getting the Twitter going? Starting to ramp up.
Magenta's gonna start doing daily recurring daily posts starting now. But she was also listening in on this call, and she's on her to-do list is to review our community call agendas. And I highlighted bold in red when the dev team was saying, don't talk about the launch because we've got these bugs right now. So she's not going to be posting about the launch until we give her the green light. She's going to be posting about projects and partners and, other Giveth things.
Yeah, we can tease that something's happening.
Right.
Magenta, thank you so much. If you're hearing this, thank you so much for jumping in on that. You did such a great job in the last couple of months. Really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Love you all.
Yeah, and Magenta, I've been tweeting for the last couple of days because I wanted to jump on the ETH Denver thing and trying to do cross posts and comments from my own account too, so we can make sure we're having a greater impact with those tweets by all of us getting out there. So when the tweets go out, let's put it into the Discord and ask people to share, respond, comment, all that good stuff.
Great idea, Danny. And thanks for managing that the past few days and circulating around ETH Denver. That was big. So good call. Any other closing thoughts, questions, updates?
I would just add, I kind of had the realization, well, first of all, sorry to the marketing team, around the confusion around what functionality will be ready when. We are in the process of sorting out our GitHub, and I believe that this will help us to communicate more effectively. At the end of the day, all functionality should have a milestone on it, and there should be a date on that milestone, and it should be accurate. So yeah, first of all, sorry for the situation, and we're working to improve this. So let's talk about it this week.
Cool. Forrest, you and I are going to stay on this call afterwards and help you make sure you've got your wallet and all that good stuff set up.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, without further ado, thank you all so much for joining today. Lovely seeing your beautiful faces, and the others, lovely seeing your amazing name initials. And I hope you have a very happy Sunday wherever you are in the world. Ciao.
Hey.
Everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Ashley, come on down here too. We got some things we can hack on today.